Hello, everybody. Welcome to the D-Pad. I'm Rick. And
Ian.
And there we go. Yeah, I forgot that there's a delay. I was like, oh, he's waiting for me to pull him
gotcha.
in. And then
Sorry.
I realized, oh wait, no, there's a delay. This is going to be a thing. Yeah, we brought Ian back from the distant world of. Actually, how far away are you right now?
I'm only about an hour and a half, and I'm soon to be a little bit closer.
Ooh.
We can chat about that a little bit later on.
Oh my, he's literally in the car right now, and his goal is to get here before the end of this episode. That's how this is going to work. So if anyone is unfamiliar, this is Ian. He is the younger brother of one John Seelig, who is doing his whole shtick. He's actually been doing game design stuff, but I'm sure that'll come up in another thing some other time. But yeah, Ian. For starters, I'm just going to jump in front of this one real quick because it has come up so frequently with everyone else's videos so far that I may as well. Do you know what Picross is?
I do, yes.
Oh, thank God. Well, I've had to explain, I think, every episode except for Sarah and Felice, and actually Lindsay, too. So far, it's just you're the first guy on the team who's actually known what Picross is besides me, so I appreciate that.
Ooh, fancy. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah,
it's like you're pretty good at it, too.
It's been going all right so far. It's been a little bit touch and go in a few spots. The last episode was Felice doing a particularly hard one that we came very close to the wire, but she nailed it right at the end. What happens in this particular game is if you can beat a level in less than an hour, something that generally doesn't come up in the first place, then you get a full color version of it afterwards.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So Ian is one of the early original people in our Let's Play stuff. After we sort of reinvented ourselves with Zelda, you were part of that first batch of videos.
Yeah, it's been a while, but
it has been a while.
Some jokes never die. Huh?
They never. Nope. It'll be there as long as we are. As long as we're alive, those jokes will stay with us.
Good. I love that.
In fact, I think if I remember correctly, the your credit skip in A Link to the Past has come up in other videos for this already.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that I can be here to continue that legacy a little bit.
Yeah, you've left an indelible mark on the history of the D-Pad. But yeah, so the way that we've been doing these is... Oh, whoops, that's a 2, not a 3. The way we've been doing these is we've been kind of doing sort of like a retrospective interviewee sort of format where we've just kind of walked through sort of memory road, I guess. Go back through old times and revisit some memories and things. And I would love to do that with you. Now that I've got you here and made you sit through the whole setup process of this thing.
I'm totally down for that. I'm not sure if you have pre-planned stuff or how you want this to go exactly, but
I've got a general sort of direction I want to or not even a direction, just I've got a general idea of the questions that I want to throw at you, but we're not sticking to any sort of hard format or anything, so we're free to wander a whole bunch. I guess right off the bat, since we're talking ostensibly about Zelda-y stuff, what is your history and familiarity with Zelda?
Ooh, that's a cool question. Well, I'd say because of John, it probably really started with A Link to the Past when I was super little. It's one of the first games I remember playing. And at first, when I was 5 trying to play through it, I thought it was really hard, and I usually enjoyed watching John play more than playing myself. Over time, I got better and more familiar with it, and then try the original for the
old NES. One. Oh man!
And that one was
will take you for a
impossible
ride
for a 6-year-old.
Yeah, I played that. I played the NES one growing up, and that one kicked my ass for a long ass time. I had to go to a friend's place to play A Link to the Past, and yeah.
Okay, cool. Not have a lot of patience when I was, a 5 or 6-year-old.
Oh,
so
sure.
It would be the kind of thing where this isn't giving me any directions. I don't like this anymore. And then I'd go back to Mario.
Yeah.
Then over time, once we got a 64, playing Ocarina of Time, that was always a huge thing.
Oh God, yeah.
That was probably the first the game that I went through and completed.
Okay. That's been a really, it's been interesting how common certain answers to that question have been so far. A lot of people, their first one was Link's Awakening. I think Link to the Past is actually, I think you're the first one who, off the top of my head, where that's your first, exposure to the series. But almost everybody, their first, and the first Zelda game I beat was Ocarina of Time, and it's like, damn, that really does just everybody. It seems to have made a real impact on everybody, basically.
I mean, I feel like it was such an incredible and influential game for the time, and it really helped to set the direction of the series going forward.
Yeah. It's kind of wild thinking back, just because I remember distinctly there being a point, and it wasn't an incorrect assessment, I don't think, but people who were calling it, at least at the time and for a while after that, the greatest video game of all time.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
I don't know that necessarily holds up anymore, but
yeah, I don't think it holds up anymore, but definitely for a long time that was true.
Yeah, absolutely. Would you say, do you have a favorite out of the franchise?
I was a little late to the party playing Breath of the Wild. Okay. I started that probably, I don't know, maybe over Christmas break last year. Mm-hmm. It's August, so what, eight months ago?
Oh God, was it that long ago already?
Yeah, right? Isn't that weird?
Holy cow.
I decided to finally pick it up. I had a while ago and had it just sitting on my Switch for, I don't know, what, a year and a half? Yeah. But when I finally sat down to play it, I immediately got 60 hours in, and the world is just so big. I think Breath of the Wild is probably my favorite.
All right, cool. It is such an engrossing game.
Yeah, it is.
Whoops.
I was a little bit surprised because, it's really hard to beat Ocarina of Time, A Link to the Past, Wind Waker. For a long time, Wind Waker was one of my favorites too. Mm-hmm. Just so much to Breath of the Wild that I think it's the top.
Nice. Okay. That's interesting. That's my favorite part, honestly, so far, has been seeing what people's favorites are out of these, because there's a pretty wide berth on that, which has been nice.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone said Breath of the Wild yet. I don't know. That's a whole discussion too about how does it feel as a Zelda game versus how does it feel as a game overall, sort of thing, and
that can be hard to try to separate out.
Yeah. I guess, do you have an opinion on that as to how it really stacks up as a Zelda game?
So, certainly very different in many ways, and I think that there are some things that I like about that and some that I don't. Okay. But overall, I think that it does do a pretty good job of ticking off the boxes of a Zelda game. Okay. There's a lot of exploration. It's a little bit weird that instead of between 8 and 10 major dungeons, there's the 4 divine beasts, and then hundreds of those stupid shrines.
Yeah, I think it's 120 in total.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It was still cool, and I don't fault them for trying something new and for going in a different direction for them.
I agree. I think that I can't fault them for trying. Me personally, I'm hoping that Breath of the Wild 2 kind of brings back the old school dungeons a little bit, but I certainly can't fault them for trying. And obviously, it was a very popular, that title. Not like Zelda was floundering or anything, but it was definitely a pretty strong rejuvenator for Zelda. It seemed anyway.
Absolutely.
So I guess, you were involved in a lot more of the Let's Plays way back in the beginning. Do you have any of those that really stood out to you as your favorite? Whether, honestly, I guess Zelda, and also if you had any that aren't Zelda, ones that really stood out to you as particularly memorable.
Oh, gosh, that's such a hard question. I've been doing this on and off for so many years, and I've joined here and there occasionally on so many games. It's really hard to try and pick a favorite or a most memorable. Gosh, honestly, like all of the beginning early Zelda stuff that we did back when John had that studio
Oh,
in
yeah.
Union Square.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Always a great time, and that always really kind of stuck with me because we would go to this special space just for recording videos. We would order Jumbo's pizza,
Oh, yeah. Oh, my God.
drink a little too much, and we would just have a lot of fun.
The studio has come up a couple times in this, especially with like CJ, and yeah, oh my God, I do miss that space so much. Both for like the memories that were there, but also like it's nice to just kind of have a space that's just for that, you know?
Exactly, yeah. It was a really cool time, and we kind of jumped a lot from there, but
Yeah,
the starting point, that's probably one of the most memorable.
nice. I will admit I don't miss the heating and air conditioning situation that we had kind of wound up with during our time there. That was not always the best.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That was not the best, but
It was fine when we started out though, because it was August, I think. It was like July going into August, so it was hot, but it was coming down by the time we really got started. Like I think it was mid-August ultimately, and it was bad at the beginning, but we were like, all right, it's not going to be too bad. And, like, it did calm down, but
Right.
it definitely was a little unbearable on some days, especially as we went through the dead of winter and then, you know, the heat of the next summer. Like, that got brutal in that room after a while.
right, absolutely.
But I would definitely agree. I don't think I would trade any of that. It was an excellent time, and I do miss that dearly. So I guess, all right. So what if, for the folks who are not as caught up with like the comings and goings of you, what have you been up to?
So, it's August 2020. For the past 3 years, I have been a teacher at a private school in Thompson, Connecticut called Marionappolis. I taught chemistry and physics the high school level, and then I also recently started a neuroscience class, which is pretty great.
Nice.
And a new development for everyone listening, I left that job. I gave my notice literally last week.
Really?
And
Oh man.
I got hired at Worcester Public Schools to be the chemistry and physics teachers there.
Nice. You looking forward to that? How's that looking so far?
I mean, it's crazy. This all happened extremely fast. I was not planning on leaving Marionappolis yet. It's going to be a huge jump going from a private Catholic school to teaching at
Oh yeah.
Worcester Public Schools in Maine South.
Oh man.
I'm really excited. I think it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, it should be rad, dude. That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thank you very much. We're moving out of our current apartment on, let's see, in 4 days.
Oh man.
We're able to get a pretty great apartment in Worcester on.
Okay, cool. Do you want to bleep that in case someone wants to go and give you a high five?
Oh well, I didn't say where on.
That's true.
So
That's
I think
true.
That's probably
And
fine.
it's a pretty damn big street, so
Exactly.
I think you're all good there. All right.
I think we need to bleep that, but I am excited. It's gonna be a lot of fun. Obviously, there's a lot of stress with moving, and
Yeah,
we didn't
especially
really
now
have any
more than-
notice. But
Especially right
yeah,
now,
with
it's
the
gonna be
pandemic,
yeah, huge mess with that. Holy cow! Does John know yet?
he does. Yes,
Okay.
yeah. I've been keeping him updated every step of the way.
Good. All right. Cool. I was like, oh no, wait a minute. Is John gonna find out like through the grapevine after all of this? Oh,
Pretty
my God.
funny.
Oh my God. But that's awesome though. So, is that what you had gone to school for originally? For like teaching?
So I did not go to school for teaching.
Mhm.
I have my bachelor's in biology and neuroscience from Wesleyan University. When I left there, I had no idea what I wanted to do. Heather, my wife, convinced me to apply to a teaching job. We talked about that on and off a little bit, but I wasn't sure if I could get it. liked me during the interview, and I got the job there. And that's kind of how it all started, was a little bit randomly. But now that I've been a teacher for a couple of years, I know that is what I want to do now, and I'm really excited to make the jump to public school.
That's
and
great.
to kind of set this up as a career instead of just what I'm doing for the next couple of years.
It's definitely nice to kind of like have that realization, and you're like, oh wait, I like this, I like doing this, and I could totally just do this. Like this works.
Right.
That's super funny. That's kind of how I got into like the like I do web development, and I got into it basically. John was teaching. He was doing like teaching at a like art. I don't exactly know how to describe it. Art and design kind of school, and they were. I did that a little wrong. They were looking for like TAs for their certificate program, and he was like, "Hey, do you want to like just do this? I can literally fill you in on everything as we go, and it'll be fine." And I was like, "Sure, I guess." And like fast forward, oh god, how many years has it been now? I guess we're almost 8 years later, and now that's literally what I do for a living. Is like I learned on the fly. Like I didn't really like train for that. That was just sort of a thing that happened, and all of a sudden
just kind of happened.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, I actually really enjoy this. Let's just do this. Like this, I could totally just enjoy doing this forever. This would be fine.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. So have you been playing games much lately? Has it been, and have you actually been able to make time for it, or has it been like super busy? Like
a little
overall?
bit of both. I have been extremely busy with a variety of things. With my previous school, and then getting ready for new school and moving.
Mm-hmm.
But I've still tried to make time here and there. I recently played through all of the new Paper Mario Origami King.
Oh, nice. Yeah. I just started up on that. I'm actually streaming it, I guess, this Thursday. Or
Cool.
every Thursday, I guess. But yeah, it's awesome, isn't it? Like,
I was pretty happy with it. I
Okay.
think it's a little too easy, and I think that they kind of like maybe you a little too much, and some of it does seem a little bit kiddish for my taste. I wish
Okay.
they went with a little bit more of a little bit more mature, sort of Thousand Year Door. But
Okay, I can
it
see
wasn't
that.
bad. It's definitely not nearly as bad as like Sticker Star and that garbage.
I never got around to playing Sticker Star or Color Splash, but I've heard like really unfortunate things for both, and I'm just like, okay, maybe I won't bother with those. This is the first time that I've actually seen a Paper Mario game where I was like, oh, all right, I could at least give this a try and see how it goes.
Yeah, I don't think it's worth it.
Yeah, really? All right.
It was a lot of fun.
No, that is totally valid. I've heard a lot of like I've heard a lot of not like conflicting opinions, but like I've definitely heard people on both sides for that being like pretty strong opinions about like whether it works or doesn't work.
Gotcha.
I really don't know how I feel about so I'm getting close to the end of the second streamer, so I'm still pretty early game. I guess I'm
Yeah.
like maybe a quarter of the way through, I guess. And I reached colored pencils, which is already a ridiculous concept all unto itself. But then like the name, I think it was the name that really just like, I think in my stream I literally just got out of my seat and walked away. Because it was like,
Yeah, that makes
it
sense.
was like Jean-Pierre Colored Pencils the 12th, I think. And I was just like, nope. That's I don't know why, but that's one step too far for me. I can't do this. Which is like,
Yeah, and I totally get that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of instances like that where it's like, this is too much, this is completely outlandish, and they went in a super weird direction. But I still ended up playing through the whole thing because it was a lot of fun despite its flaws.
yeah, I being a puzzly person, I'm a big fan of the fact that they have puzzle battles. I don't know how I'm going to feel by the end of the game, if I'm going to feel like it's a tired concept.
Luckily, they do give you plenty of tools to sort of simplify that a little bit.
Okay.
Just getting pretty tired of it towards the end, and I was able to I think there's an option where you can see where the enemies are supposed to be.
Really?
You can like click that, and it'll always show you where the enemies are supposed to be on
that's
the
hilarious.
circle grid. You can also pay the toads in the audience to like help you switch stuff. There was also such a surplus of coins that I did that for pretty much every battle.
Because like I've been making a point of trying to actually solve the puzzle for each one. Just I'm like, if I'm here, and this is one of the main like little thrusts of this game. I should probably actually like try to do the puzzles, and I do enjoy them. But like, there are definitely times I'm sitting there staring at it, and I'll hear that ding ding because like you're running out of time, and I'm like, and I pay just like 1,000 coins because the economy in that game is completely pointless.
Exactly.
It's wild to me just how much they just hurl coins at you constantly. Like, it is...
I was...
Oh, go ahead.
I was around, I think, the 5th streamer, and there were enough weapons and items and stuff that I wanted to try out that I actually ran out of coins, like, twice. And I was shocked. And after I played for a couple hours, just proceeding with the story... back up to like 40,000 or something ridiculous.
Holy shit. Oh my god. All right. I mean, I guess that makes sense. There's definitely been times where I've been like, oh, you know, I've got this many coins and I kind of want to, like, I was keeping an eye on stuff, and then all of a sudden I turn back like an hour later, I'm like, oh, I guess I don't have to worry about coins anymore. Like, I'm already like fine in that regard.
Right,
it's such an interesting like concept, because I don't mind the idea of like, all right, you're going to be getting coins and you're going to use them frequently in battles to like buy stuff or just experiment with stuff, and like that I'm fine with. But like, maybe it's because I don't know if like the coins needed to be divided by 10 or what, but it just seems so egregious how many coins there are in that game that just like are constantly getting thrown at you.
Exactly. I think it would have been fine if they kind of, like you said, divided everything by 10 and then made better, easier, more manageable numbers.
Yeah, because like that's just the thing, is like the human mind does not really, like, after a certain point we just kind of stop paying attention to numbers. So like 50,000 coins is like, all right, I got a vague idea of like what that means, I guess, if I'm just kind of whatever. But like if I've got 5,000 coins, that's like somehow an easier to work with number, and it just sort of means more on the fly.
It feels better mentally.
Yeah, exactly. Like you have a concept of 5,000. 50,000 is a large enough number that doesn't come up in life in a way where you're like, oh yeah, 50,000 cherries. Like I can
totally picture that.
I could picture 5,000 cherries real easy. I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what 5,000 cherries would be like. 50,000. Now I'm like, all right, is that like a dump truck of cherries? Is that like a...
becomes too big to be meaningful.
Yeah, exactly. Like you just kind of don't really... Even if you have an idea, you're just like, that's just a guess. I don't even know.
Yeah.
So what would you say is your favorite Paper Mario game then?
Definitely Thousand Year Door.
Yeah.
I've played that so much. I love the original, and I think it still holds up pretty well.
Yeah.
A Thousand Year Door like just took the good parts of it and ran with it. They really added a lot that made it better than the first one, I think.
Yeah.
And they didn't. It's so hard to try to pinpoint exactly the problems with like Sticker Star, Color Splash. A lot of people didn't even like Super Paper Mario for the Wii, which I thought was, although it was really different, I did like it.
Yeah. I never played all the way through that one, but I've definitely heard a lot of, negative feelings about that one. Part of it coming from the same place as like Wind Waker, where it's a level of like... I still
really enjoyed it.
Yeah, what I played of it I enjoyed. I never finished it, but I don't remember disliking it in any real way.
That makes sense. And I mean, similar to that, what you mentioned about Wind Waker 2, that's one of the Zelda games that I played the most growing up, and it was definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah.
I know a lot of people have kind of mixed feelings about it, but...
That one, that one was so wild to me, because I remember, like, I played that one when I was a kid, and I was like, or I guess, maybe not when I was a kid, I guess by that point I would have been like 15, 16, so kid compared to now, I guess, but...
Right.
But I remember, like, being shocked at how much people seemed to, at least, not like that game. And it was like, oh, it's too cartoony. The cell shading makes it look dumb. And it's like, it looks awesome. It was such a difference from Ocarina and Majora's Mask in terms of like what it looked like. It was so bright and colorful and like alive and vibrant and like, holy shit, Link has expressions on his face. Like that aren't.
Yeah, they did so much with it, and they still did a good job of making the dark parts dark.
Yeah,
even though it looked cartoony and fun.
One of these videos, we had been talking about how there really hasn't been a game that's quite captured the same I don't know. It's hard to describe without. I'm sure somebody's going to jump to the comments immediately and roast me alive for it. But like Link's Awakening has a certain tone that hasn't really been replicated in a meaningful way. And I don't know that I'd necessarily want them to either. Like I wouldn't want just a copy of that. But I was thinking about it. And I was like, wow, I really can't think of any Zelda games that really, really get there in the same way as Link's Awakening. And like, all right, Majora's Mask has a dark tone, but it doesn't feel as deep to me in terms of like the meaning of it. And, you know, someone mentioned Twilight Princess is also up there, and I don't disagree that that's also got a pretty dark tone, but it also feels in some ways a little surface level. I think Wind Waker, honestly, is one that's got arguably the darkest real subtext out of the rest of the series, you know, once you get past Link's Awakening. Like, if you really examine the story of what's going on in that game, like, especially the point where even Ganondorf, to an extent, kind of has a point with, like, the reasons for why he does what he does.
Yeah.
Like, it was just kind of amazing to me the first time I played that game, being like, wow, I actually can kind of, like, see where Ganondorf is coming from. Like, it feels like his people are these abused, you know, desert people, and they don't have a say, and they don't have any respect from the kingdom, and he got so frustrated that he just went like, fuck it, burn it all down.
Yeah, and making it relatable in that way helped with setting that tone and making it just feel real and like, oh, shit.
Yeah, especially like, it's such a delicate balance when you're building a game for kids. Like, you know, at the end of the day, Zelda games are still geared to be enjoyed, not necessarily primarily by children, but at least by children. So, like, being able to put together a story where you have to walk that line between, this guy's definitely the bad guy, but here is how he got here, and, like, kind of weaving that, like, it's such an interesting, like, way of approaching that. I don't know. I wanted to throw that in there. Like, I know it's a conversation that you weren't, like, part of then, but, like, it just jogged my memory of, like, yeah, we never quite got to the end of that discussion, and was like, yeah, that one really, like, stands out as a game that does have that darkness kind of woven into it.
Yeah.
I apologize if we're, like, looping and repeating. Did you wind up playing Link's Awakening at all when you were younger? Or, I guess, since?
Didn't. That was one that I never ever picked up.
Oh, man.
I don't know why or what it was, but I feel like we had it, but I just never just
kind of threw it in, basically. Yeah. Well, I will
was
definitely recommend it to you, for
something
sure.
Else. And since then, I've seen when you and CJ both tried to speed run it head to head.
Oh yeah! Oh my god! I think I was in the passenger seat for that, and he was trying to. But yeah, no, like.
What it was, I don't remember.
It was a bajillion D years ago, so I can't blame you there. Yeah, Did you wind up watching the series all the way through, or just kind of like poke in and out?
It was just poking in and out.
Yeah.
And since then, with the remake, I played up through just the first dungeon, and I had borrowed it from a friend, so I had to give it back.
Oh, no.
It was good from what I played.
Yeah, I was actually really impressed. I feel like, in most ways, the remake really, really holds up very well as a good representation of the original game. Because, like, my main worry early on, and this seemed to be a really common sort of thing people were nervous about, was like, is the game going to lose a bit of its soul getting remade in HD and all of this stuff? And like, oh, it's this toy aesthetic. Is that going to mess with things or whatever? But honestly, I think it doesn't quite have the same level of, like, foreboding darkness that the original had, just because there's sort of this like spaced out vibe. I really don't know how to, like, it's almost like this pervading kind of ennui to the game when you play it on the original Game Boy, just because like the limitations of the technology like just work for that. But I think the same like themes that they're going for, and I think the same kind of vibe that they're reaching for, like I think they get there. I think it's a different flavor of it, but weirdly enough it does seem like it actually like gets there. Meanwhile, I think Ben definitely does not like the new version in that regard, and is just like, nope, doesn't work. It's not the same. It's not what I want. Which, I mean, I get. I like it's tough. Like, it's a game that means a lot to a lot of people, so it's one that folks can get, you know, very attached. I'm very attached to that one. I will never forget that game. So like, I get why people get kind of precious with it. What would you want the most out of Breath of the Wild 2?
That's such a hard question.
Oh, whoops, the line's down here.
Oh, I think you already said this a little bit earlier, but going back to more of a like main dungeons, similar to how it is in the past. I don't love that. In addition to trying to find all the shrines and collect all those, there's also like over 700 of the stupid Korok seeds.
Oh, there's 900 in total.
That's so stupid.
It is ludicrous.
No one is gonna want to take the time to do that. Like, that's just insane. So I think getting rid of some of those little things would be okay. And now, you know, I'm sure there's people out there who love that aspect and
sure, yeah,
see them explore every little nook and cranny. But sometimes they were just tedious and annoying.
Yeah, for sure. There's some where you're like, oh, I'm just picking up this random rock. Oh, that was the rock. That was the one. Like,
yeah, there were many accidental Koroks that I found, and I was just like, wait, why is this even here?
Yeah,
like,
which I guess like is kind of the idea. If you see something out of place, I guess that's supposed to be your clue that like, hey, this is where that thing is. But like, it really does get ludicrous in a couple spots where you're like, how would I ever figure that out? Like, that doesn't make any sense.
Back to the question a little bit more. I'm not really sure what I would like them to either the same or make different, but I hope it's not just more of the same. I want them to do something a little bit different, make it feel a little bit new and upgraded. And now, how to do that, I'm not sure.
That's the tough part, right?
Exactly. Yeah, it's so hard to try and figure out, like, nitpicky. Okay, change this thing or do this different, but. Overall, I did love it, and I thought it worked really well.
Well, it's interesting, too, because, like, so I guess kind of two parts to that is, like, one, sometimes a straight sequel totally works for a game. Like Mario Galaxy 2 is a totally valid sequel. It's a lot of fun. Easy to have fun with that, equally to Mario Galaxy 1, just because that formula doesn't need tweaking. You can infinitely add levels and still have a good time so long as you're staying creative with it. On the flip side, though, some games really don't work for that. And I think a game like Breath of the Wild doesn't lend itself to a direct, like, copycat-esque sequel. Like, it at least needs something like Majora's Mask to, in the sense of, like, yes, the same base engine, base game, but there's a twist. There's some other thing happening that makes it stand apart from its predecessor. I think, too, it's interesting. Nintendo seems to be experimenting a lot with collectathons lately. I don't know why. Maybe it's because the Switch is portable and it's easy to do like more bite-sized segments, but Origami King has collectathon elements to it. Kirby games universally have some level of collectathoniness to them anyway.
Right, yeah.
But like Mario Odyssey is such an obscene collectathon like vibe to it, which I loved because like Mario lends itself really well to that. But they tried that with Breath of the Wild also, between the 120 shrines and the 900 Korok seeds. And it sort of works. If you're like really dead set on completion, then it works. But if you're not, then it's like there's just this stuff going on and it's everywhere, and I just accidentally find it constantly. So I don't know.
That seems like it's a little too much.
Yeah. Or at least if it's easier to like maybe even dowsing for them or something. Like something to make it slightly. I know you can douse at least for shrines eventually. I don't know if you can do it for Korok seeds, but But yeah. So any last thoughts? I think this is where we're gonna wrap this one up.
It looks like you just flew through that. You are very good at this.
I got honestly, these I got a little lucky with. They all had like pretty solid starting points to like base
a lot of
things
them
off
had
of.
the whole bottom across.
Exactly, yeah, that made a huge
build up.
difference. Some of these are not nearly as kind, and it's like, oh, hey, let's spend 15, 20 minutes on this one level.
Yeah. But yeah, no, I thought this was a lot of fun. I'm glad to be back here, and I'm sure that there's plenty of new D-pad people who's going to be like, I've never heard of Ian. Who's this guy? But it's cool to be back, and I hope to be a part of things more in the future, when the world stops being in a apocalypse.
Yeah, no kidding. Holy cow. Stay safe, man.
And you too.
And I guess we'll come back for a little more of this next time, because while we got through all 45 rather of these, if we go back, there is another section, and we'll try that out next time. Yeah. Bye.
Well, excuse me, princess. Check it out.
So today will be interesting. We'll see if I can keep up my half of the conversation like at all.
I did fucking giggle when you had asked Lindsay if she had a Twitch like immediately.
Literally the moment the last word escaped my lips, I was like, "You idiot! You fucking!" I already know the answer to this, man, that was bad.
It's interesting. That's why that's the episode is like when I texted you and I was like, I hope I don't need to know anything about Zelda.